So I don't know.
It is.
I don't know how much.
I started practicing.
Counter supports people.
I've been down here for a few years.
It's just a
Well, nice to meet you.
I think I was.
Oh, yeah.
I was down here.
I just want to thank you for introducing me to
I don't know if this was in the Wall Street Journal or it was
Yeah.
by some
far.
major.
And also there's a position where you
No,
kind of
it's
send
in
a
every
creative
poor
alliance.
city, so
if he has
that's
to
another
trust
angle
you.
that I feel.
Oh, my.
St. Louis and Peoria, it's like I moved from
This
One.
one place to another.
It's just large population.
When we
Yeah,
started,
yeah.
did everybody come by the podium, this time shoulder to shoulder, facing on this call one-on-one. And when you come up, do repeat your name, spell it out for the camera. Actually, let's get started, I think it's, Yes.
Where's your microphone?
give it to Shani, she'll do the other one, I can just do this one. Jeremy, why don't you come over here, Rabbi Jim, you can come here, Mustafa, why don't you stand by me here, and then you can also stand here, that will be longer in the shot together. Yes, come on over, so that way, it's a little bit closer.
Only to film,
We'll leave the door open. Actually, Shimeen, could you actually close the door just so we don't get any background noise of people walking down the hall? That would be great. Thank you so much. All right, excellent. All right, well, thank you all for being here today. My name is Faizan Syed, F as in Frank, A-I-Z-A-N, Syed, S as in Sam, Y-E-D, and I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations here in the state of Missouri, or CAIR-Missouri for short. I want to also thank our other speakers here as well that represent different organizations and different groups, but all of who are here in order to express their concerns for the most recent Muslim Ban 2.0 that's been introduced by the Trump administration. This particular version of the first executive order is, in our opinion, a partial victory compared to the first order that was so clearly unconstitutional. It showed that the administration is listening to its critics and is willing to change when we, the people, unite together in order for the opposition. Of course, with that said, there's still many problems with it. It is still fundamentally a Muslim ban. This executive order is still fundamentally a Muslim ban. Its intent is still primarily to ban Muslims from entering the United States. In fact, the senior White House advisor, Stephen Miller, quoted and said that Muslim Ban 2.0 has been retooled to achieve unconstitutional policy, to achieve the same unconstitutional policy. So again, their intent is to create a Muslim ban. Also, the administration likes to argue that this ban is about keeping America safe. Fundamentally, this is a false reality, and it is extremely faulty in its logic and reasoning. More Americans are killed by faulty furniture or clothing catching on fire than they are by people who this ban would quote-unquote try to protect us from. In fact, none of the terror attacks that have been committed over the last 15 years, have been committed by people from any of these 6 countries. This ban is arbitrary. It targets people not on the action they've done, but by simply being born in the wrong part of the world and simply having the wrong religion. It also panders to the Islamophobes and bigots that make up the foundation of this administration, and we believe that's fundamentally wrong. Another challenge that this ban presents is that it also encourages, similar to what was done with the mass deportation orders that have been put out, is that every 180 days, the administration will produce a report highlighting all the violence and attacks that have been done by immigrants from not only 6 countries, but also from any terrorists who happen to be Muslim as well. This creates a tremendous challenge in America because when the American public is exposed to governmental reports that say that Hispanics are dangerous and here are all the violent crimes that they've done, and Muslims are dangerous and here are all the violent crimes they've done, while ignoring the vast majority of violence and terror attacks within this country that are perpetuated by people who are not Muslim and people who are outside those groups, it creates a false narrative that Muslims and immigrants are dangerous because that's the only information that people are receiving. In fact, according to FBI data, 90% of all terror attacks that were committed in the US for the last 15 years have been committed by people that are not targeted by these countries and are done by non-Muslims as well. Violence and terrorism is a problem in the United States. In fact, over 355 mass shootings happened last year alone. That's almost as many mass shootings as days of the year. But yet this administration doesn't seem to want to protect Americans from that, but they seem to want to protect us from things that don't actually pose a serious threat to the United States. Finally, this second order, the second ban, is the propaganda tool that ISIS and their allies are seeking. ISIS and their allies, they want to create this false narrative that America is at war with Islam and Islam is at war with America. And when the administration passes these bans, they're empowering these terrorist groups rather than diminishing them. Terrorism is not a people. Terrorism is not a people. It is a tactic to achieve political gains. And this administration is sadly feeding into their political gains as well. It also hurts everyday Americans. Imagine over 14 million doctor appointments were made last year. 14 million doctor appointments were made last year from people from these 6 countries, from doctors from these 6 nations. That's 14 million appointments made in this country. Think about what are these people going to do when more of these doctors from across the world are not allowed into this nation. The last 2 points I'd like to make is that in response, CAIR has launched registermefirst.com. registermefirst.com, which is a website where people and allies can go online and register themselves first, register themselves to be Muslims and to say that they're part of this community and they're the ones that want to be targeted. And I encourage people to go to this website and register themselves first so the administration can realize that they're not going to divide the community, rather they're only going to, as Rabbi Bennett said earlier, when I was speaking to him one-on-one, bring us together and unite us. Secondly, the St. Louis Muslim community is responding to this ban by holding an open house at the Darul Jalal Islamic Center in North County called Make America Whole Again. Make America Whole Again. And they're directly inviting Trump supporters and the Republicans within our city to come to that open house, to meet the Muslim community, to break bread, to have and visit an Islamic Center for people who are not only our ally, but really for people who would support Donald Trump and the administration in this. I believe the best way to build bridges is to actually build bridges. And this open house, encouraging Trump supporters and Republicans to come, I believe is a step in the right direction to do that.